Hi folks, welcome back to the Lowland League Catchup. You might notice it's a different voice this week taking you through. It's myself, Derek, and as usual, I'm joined by Shaun. How you doing, mate?
I'm doing very well. Looking forward to the start of the new season. Now the pre-season's more or less boxed off, bar a few games. How are you doing yourself?
Aye, good. Much the same. It feels like we've been waiting forever for the league to come back, doesn't it? So thank God we're almost there. But quick shout out to Chris. He's having a week off this week. The sadist in me says he's just avoiding the predictions for the week one and letting us take the flak for them. But I will get him back next week, and when we're reviewing the action of the first weekend of the Lowland League, we'll get right into things again. But we're going to start this week's pod off by kind of rounding off what's been happening in the last 7 days of the league itself, and we're going to start with something quite interesting, quite a big story. Edusport Academy, or the club formerly known as Edusport Academy, have had a name change approved by the SFA. So as of now, we are now going to refer to them as the Caledonian Braves. So what do you make of that one, Shaun?
Do you know what? I think it's a big change. I think I was speaking to a few people since it's came out, and a few people have mentioned that it sounds like a baseball name or a hockey team. So it's definitely something that's going to take some getting used to. But I think it's inevitable with any team when they go and they make a name change. We're always going to view them as Edusport Academy. It's going to take a little while to let the change settle in. It's definitely an interesting one. It could blow up and be really big for them, getting that, Scottish tie in there. Likewise, it could backfire because it does have a wee bit of a hockey spin on it. What do you think?
I think if there was ever a time to change a name, now is it, because they've just got their new ground as well. So it's basically, they're kind of starting the club anew almost, aren't they? Like they've got their identity of being a Glasgow club. They're now in the area with the Alliance Park. I can't pretend I'm a massive fan of the name. It seems a bit generic to me. However, we got used to Edusport Academy and people didn't used to like that name, did they? So no doubt in a few years' time we'll just be reeling off Caledonian Braves like it's kind of no different to whatever we've ever known previously.
No, absolutely, or whatever we decide to shorten it down to. But I totally agree. I've to be honest, I feel like I've only just got used to Edusport Academy, and now I've got a whole new name to get used to. But I think you make a good point. I think it ties in really nicely with what they've done outside all the signings that we've seen over the pre-season. Edusport's probably been the most interesting when you take signings out of it over this pre-season, because everything that they're doing to just change the whole ethos of what that club's about. It was an academy type squad, whereas they're trying to change and make themselves into a proper viable football team that can hopefully one day challenge to get into the SPFL. So it's very interesting times for the Caledonian Braves.
It's not quite reeling off the tongue just yet, is it?
Not yet, no.
Quick question. If they draw Inverness in a cup, does it count as a Cali derby?
Well, that's a good one, eh? Do you know what? I think that's one for Twitter. Do you know what? I think that's a Twitter poll that we've got to do, because that is a very interesting question, because I think you're quite right.
Well, it sounded your thoughts on, and obviously, for a wee bit of fun, if there was any club in the Lowland that you'd want to change their name, what would you change it to and why? That's a good one, I think, for a wee teaser for this week. But other than that, which is obviously a massive change for us, we'll round off a couple of signings that we've seen come through as well. Mainly loan moves this week, and we've started seeing, as we've kind of predicted and alluded to, the three of us, the loanees from kind of higher up the ladder coming into Lowland League clubs now. So Dan Bauer signed from Hearts onto Bonnyrigg Rose for, I believe it's a whole season that he's meant to be there. And from the other side of the capital, Hibs have sent a couple of their young boys, Callum Yeats and Jack Hodge, down to civil service strollers. So yeah, I mentioned there, Shaun, we've kind of alluded to this being likely to happen. Now that it's starting, what do you think?
I think it's brilliant. It adds a little twist to the Lowland League, because not only is it good for your teams in the Lowland League, your civils and whatnot in Bonnyrigg, to be able to pick up these guys who have got a bit of experience playing in a bigger club, albeit usually at a lower level, like a youth team level. But it's also really good for Scottish football when you think about higher up. So your Hearts and your Hibs, that they can send their players down to play in a competitive league such as the Lowland League. Not that there's anything wrong with the development leagues that are out there, but this is a proper league where the teams are properly invested in trying to get promoted and to win the league and have the same sort of ambitions that your Hearts and Hibs will have at the other end of the scale. So I think it's a brilliant opportunity for all involved.
Yeah, absolutely. We've talked about it plenty before, but I think it goes to show that clubs are now getting trusted to assist in the development of these boys, and we've seen guys playing in the league last year that have gone on to bigger and better things. So yeah, I totally agree with you, mate. But other than kind of signings and so on, something else that's caught our eye, and no doubt if you've seen it, you'll have been kind of piqued your interest as well, is from East Stirlingshire. They've launched Shire TV, which essentially is another method of kind of interacting with the fans and giving more information and updates to the fans. But one of the things they're doing, and they did just at the weekend there, is actually streaming some live games, which is a huge step forward, especially at this level of football. And obviously want to commend them for that, just thinking outside the box, different things that you can bring in to enhance the club and social media and so on. And I know you were quite a big fan of it, Shaun, for what we were saying earlier on.
Oh, absolutely. I think there's nothing worse than when I'm trying to sort out my holidays and I'm trying to figure out when I can go away that I'm not going to miss any good football games. Nothing worse. So I think it's a brilliant initiative, and I know some other clubs have got similar things going on, because the Shire TV is more than just obviously the live games. They had a really interesting interview on there with the Shire chaplain, and if it's going to encourage a bit more of that, then I'm all for it. Obviously for yourself, me, and obviously Chris, the fact that the highlights are going to be up there is a lot more content for us to get a hold of, and for the fans to get a hold of, is going to make certainly our jobs easier as well, which is always a bonus. But no, I like that live TV twist on there, and the fact that I can maybe steal an hour when I'm on holiday to catch a bit of football, even though I'm away, not football in general, but some Lowland League football.
Yeah, absolutely. And obviously it'd be remiss is not to kind of say the likes of Kelty, and I almost said Edgysport again, Caledonian Braves, have kind of over the last season or so been putting really good content out there, YouTube wise, and with, again, I almost said Edgysport, with Caledonian putting their kind of shareholders, like private content through there. If you buy the shares, you get to interact with the players more and so on. So it's all good, absolutely, for this, for the league side of things, and anything that makes our jobs easier, we're always going to be thankful for. Let's be honest. One last wee shout out before we get into what you've been waiting for, match action and the season preview I say season preview, week 1 preview. The Lowland and East of Scotland Development League fixtures have now been announced as well, just in case you're not aware, folks. So if you fancy going to see some under-20s action, and the league last year was outstanding in terms of quality, and a lot of the young boys are now beginning to get their breaks with different clubs as well, you can go onto the website slfl.co.uk and check out the fixtures for the young lads as well. And I'm sure any club, be it Lowland, East of Scotland, that are in there, I believe there's also a couple of South of Scotland teams possibly in there as well this year, but they'll appreciate your support if you're going along to give the young lads a kind of a watchful eye as well. So right, let's get into things, shall we? We will start off with the Betfred Cup, where we've had our 2 reps. We've had East Kilbride and Berwick Rangers competing away, and at the weekend there was let's just say a contrast of emotions for the 2 of them. So do you want to start us off, Shaun? Will we start with the good news story first with East Kilbride?
I think that's a good way to go. East Kilbride obviously welcomed St Mirren along to K Park. Obviously this was one of the big games. This is their big Betfred game, and it didn't disappoint in any way. I've saw some news articles calling it East Kilbride's best results in their short history, and I think it's hard to argue with. The first chance of the game went to the home team, and it was Shaun Winter that fired wide after Paul McGinn's clearance came off Jack Baird and fell into the midfielder's path. So no surprise there to see Shaun Winter getting on it nice and early. To be honest, the majority of the first half did involve St Mirren pushing up. It was East Kilbride's Martin in goals, who basically kept the visiting side at bay for much of it. Shaun Winter was involved again around about the 36-minute mark, where he was able to get ahead of the defender and go from close range, but their keeper was equal to it, and the referee did end up blowing for a foul. But again, a bit promising play there from East Kilbride. Just before the break, St Mirren should have taken the lead as Stephen McGinn's ball went over the top to find Danny Mullen, who was one-on-one with Alan Martin, but the goalkeeper, again on top form, saved the initial attempt before making another fine block to deny the follow-up. In the second half, it was an early chance of game from Saints, but the header was gathered by Alan Martin again, and soon after it was St Mirren on the attack again, and a shot from range but went straight at the goalie again. A couple of worrying tweets that came out from St Mirren. The home side were forced into a change around the 55 minute as Shaun Winter came off injured and was replaced by Daniel Carmichael, and on the 64th minute East Kilbride were again forced into a change as Ross Kavanagh was replaced by Rudy Payton. But the game finished, or the 90 minutes finished 0-0 and went to penalties, and a Carmichael, Reid, Kavanagh, BJ Call, Cairns and Brownlee penalties were able to secure the win for East Kilbride, which is a fantastic result. Cinnamon did miss for East Kilbride, and there was a miss for St Mirren as well, which meant it did go to a deadlock, and Cody Cook for St Mirren took his first penalty but had to retake it, and Alan Martin saved the retake to give the win to East Kilbride, who stole the bonus point, I think they call it in the Betfred Cup.
Yeah, that's right.
To steal a point. So a really good result for East Kilbride against a Scottish Premier League team. It's great coverage for the league and an excellent result for Stuart Malcolm and his guys.
Yeah, definitely. And I was listening to Malks on the radio being interviewed because I was we'll get on to it later on, but I was down at the BSC game. And it was interesting the way he was pitching it, because he kept referring to the fact that you've got to be kind of careful about it. It's still pre-season. So his mentality was, it's still early doors, teams are still getting ready. He wasn't getting carried away, put it that way. And it felt very much like he was trying to put dampeners on any kind of wild expectations being raised as in the wake of this, because just the circumstances there that obviously St Mirren have got a new manager, it's just in the door and all that kind of thing. But regardless of that, you've got to say it's an unbelievable result for Kilby. As you say, it's a Premier League team, a Premiership team that have came along. Kilby have met them head on. They've defended well. Alan Martin's man of the match. He's had a stormer of a game and goals, so he obviously looks like a cracking signing. And ultimately they've deserved it, because St Mirren couldn't break them down, and that's the name of the game. As Jim Gooden said after it, that's what they've got to do as a bigger team. They've got to go there and make the play and score the goals, and they couldn't do that. So you got to give a shout out to the whole team, and obviously Malks as well. Brilliant result, and again it helps raise the profile of the league itself, so they've represented us really well. We said that we were going to get into a contrast here, and this is where you'll realise why, because our other representatives, new Lowland boys, Berwick Rangers, were away to Stranraer, and it didn't go quite so well for them. So I'll run you through this one quickly. Basically, it was a decent start from all accounts, from what we saw, but on 20 minutes, it was 1-0. Stranraer managed to get their noses in front. From there, again, it kept kind of ticking over. Berwick were pretty much sitting in and limiting chances, similar to what Kilby initially were doing with St Mirren. But the floodgates began to open after Stranraer got a second goal in the 37th minute. Volley from Jordan Allen, who it is a name that will be familiar to many of you. Because straight after that, 41 minutes, it was 3-0. Cullen strike into the top corner from Conor McManus, and then just before half time, it was 4-0, and it was a penalty this time. So it was Houghton was clean through and goal, get taken down from behind. Mark Stewart slotted that away, and basically Berwick went out of nowhere from 1-0 to 4-0 at half time, and there's no going back from there against a team kind of higher up in the levels like Stranraer are. But it kind of got worse for there. It sounded like the heads went down, in all honesty. That just after the hour mark, Stranraer put another one in, free kick, and it was 6 on the 76th minute with Mark Stewart again with another penalty after again a defender brought down a non-Russian striker in the box. Thankfully at that point for the wee Rangers, Stranraer actually went down to 10 men because of injuries, so that gave them a wee bit of respite, and they actually had a chance to get a consolation right at the death, but Lewis Barr skewed a shot wide when he basically had the ball presented to him for a defensive lapse. So not an ideal result for Berwick, let's be honest, but again you need to see it on context, I guess. The same way Malks at East Kilbride saw it as essentially a pre-season game and a chance to get ready for the league campaign, the focus. It's not ideal preparation for Berwick, but that's the way they've got to see it as well. I'm sure you'd agree, Sean.
No, absolutely. It's a chance for Ian and the guys to get used to the team a little bit, but it's a couple of games that nobody was expecting Berwick to win, but it's a bit of a concern, the amount of goals that they've conceded, and I suppose the lack of goals that they've been able to put away. It's totally understandable that they're at this level, and I totally agree. It's pre-season essentially. I know it's a competitive game, but it's still pre-season. Berwick have had a few issues where they openly came out and said they didn't agree with the fact, or certainly Ian did, that they didn't agree with the trialist rule. It's obviously caused them a little bit of bother, but at the same time it's over the two games they played in the Betfred Cup, that's 13 goals conceded and 0 goals scored. It's a bit of concern, and they've got a tough couple of matches coming up as well. I think they've got Falkirk and Livingston coming up, so it's a bit worrying, but I'm going to reserve judgment until we see a couple of Lowland League fixtures in the bag either way. I'm going to reserve judgment to then to see how I feel about this Berwick side.
Just one thing that I'm curious to hear what you think about, that was mentioned on the radio yesterday, that's now, I believe, 46 goals I've conceded since he last scored. Do you think that's going to be an issue mentally for the squad?
I think so. It's not. I mean, your pre-season is a time where you essentially want to be scoring goals a bit for fun, to give yourself that mental edge heading into the season, and that's by all means. Even when they start knocking in that first goal, that's still going to be playing in their mind, and I think every one of the players in the team they'll be aware of that. Perhaps not the exact number, but they're going to be trying to put that to the back of their mind, and that's not something any player wants to be doing. You don't want to have to worry about that kind of thing. But yeah, at the moment, it's definitely a concerning figure. It's not a fact that you really want to be associated with when you're heading into a league that's below the league you were playing in last season, and a league that's exceptionally competitive. Yeah, it's a worry. It's a bit of a worry, and I'm crossing my fingers and my toes for Berwick heading into this season that it is just pre-season and playing against teams at a higher calibre, and when they get into the Lowland League that they'll be able to get some goals, essentially.
The other unwanted stat they've got just now is now over 700 minutes, a competitive game since he last scored. So I suspect the sooner they get that monkey off the back, the better for them getting moving on and getting started afresh. But so that was the cup action, the competitive cup action at the weekend. We also had a couple of friendlies that we attended as well. So I made a wee trip down to Dunbar to see Dunbar United against BSC, the last warm-up game before the real thing starts, essentially. And I won't take too much time up because it was a pretty competitive game, but ended 0-0. So not for lack of goal-mouth action, there was a couple of good chances for either side. ultimately I think BSC had the better chances, but you could tell there's a wee bit of rustiness still getting worked out as we approach week 1. Tamor had a pretty decent game. You would never have known Martin Green was in Mexico sipping the carries a week ago, because he was putting himself about and doing his usual thing. He wasn't too happy to come off it, didn't seem either, but ultimately Swifty only had 13 fit bodies to field, so it was a backup defensive pain in the middle. Also in the midfield, there's a few guys that wouldn't be automatic starters in there, but keep an eye out for Jamie Hamilton is the one thing I'd take away. He looked very, very promising, and it's clear that Stephen quite likes him as well, so I'd expect to see him quite a bit going forward. But yeah, I actually really enjoyed Dunbar's ground as well. It's a cracking wee ground, good people that are on the club as well, and I managed to meet Ali finally as well, so shout out to them for mostly treating us great when we were down there. And just, I think it's one of those things where you could see certain moves getting put together that the guys are almost ready. They're almost match fit and match sharp and ready to go, but they definitely needed that run out. And I suspect you might get a slightly different story for our next game we're going to cover, because it certainly wasn't a goalless draw.
Yeah, just on the BSC Dunbar, it's good for them to get a wee run out there, because as we're going to touch on later on, they've got an absolute belter of a week 1 fixture that they've got to go into. How did Dunbar United look? Because I know we don't cover the East of Scotland Premier Division, but these are the teams that could, and probably one day will, essentially join the Lowland League through promotion. Dunbar United are one of the teams that are going to be playing in there with the likes of Camelin and Hillabeath, Linlithgow, Jeanfield Swifts. Like, it's a cracking league. How did Dunbar look?
Do you know what? They looked really solid. I thought there was one or two kind of standout players. Fraser Neve also, who's taking the step down from East Stirlingshire to join them this year. I don't know if I'd really call it a step down now either. Going down for the Lowland to East of Scotland Premier isn't that big a jump, let's be honest, with the quality of the teams that are in there. But they kind of know their way of playing. You can tell they've been coached up really well. They actually had a couple of really decent chances to get a goal as well. One in particular right at the death, where it was easier to miss and score, and unfortunately the boy missed the ball. It was one of those kind of low crosses, and he just couldn't quite get the final touch on it. They also managed to test Ryan Marshall in the first half with a cracking shot that Marsh actually made a brilliant save from. So yeah, I'd expect him to do quite well next year, just on that evidence of what I saw yesterday.
Ashley alluded to, I was at another game that had a couple more goals in the BSC Dunbar game, and it was Kelty Hearts against Beef Juniors. So I've been quite fortunate that I've managed to catch, I think I've seen about 7 or 8 pre-season games, in all bar one of Kelty's pre-season games. And this game was one that, for me, what I kind of said earlier on when we were talking about Berwick, the pre-season is when you want to see your teams in the Lowland League scoring goals and giving themselves a bit of momentum. It had been lacking a little bit for Kelty up until this game, but Kelty were able to find the back of the net several times, and I think they've set themselves up very well against, by no means, they were not an easy opposition, and the highlights are online, you can have a look. They did have their chances, but I think they've set themselves up very well for the start of the season. So, like I say, I was at this game, I was there with Chris, and we both managed to take the game in. Early on, it was actually Beath that had one of the first chances of the match, and the ball went straight across the goal line. Linton was able to clear it, and there was no Beath player there to get on the end of it. Ross Philp had another fantastic game, and in this one he managed to make a great run into the box, and he was pulled down, which led to a penalty in Kelty's first game. Keeper went to the left, and Linton was able to put it into the bottom right hand corner to make it 1-0. Shortly after that, there was a really good run from Gary Chen. He'd made the switch to right back this week. Apparently he'd been there last week as well, and I just got myself a wee bit muddled up. He obviously gave me a few tips online on Twitter about how to differentiate between him and Danny Ash, which really helped me in this game. But yeah, he made a a really good run, as he always does, and he was able to cross the ball in. It did hit the hand of the Beef defender in the box, but no penalty was given. Ross Philp was again involved in another goal for the second. He had another excellent run into the box before cutting the ball across the goal to a pretty wide open Chris Dodds, who was able to knock it in from close range. That made up his third pre-season goal as well. He missed the first and possibly the second games of pre-season as well. I think he was on holiday. So he's managed to knock in a few goals which across the pre-season, which is fantastic to see. Beath did manage to pull one back shortly after, and it was a really good run by the number 8, Fries, who basically got the better of Murray and Scott Linton by just sheer pace. He managed to get through, but then he was able to keep his composure and slot the ball past a very good Ben McKenzie to make it 2-1. Ross Philp was at it again with some great 1-2s with Riley, McCarty and Dodds, and he had an excellent shot from at least 20 yards out that was knocked out for saved by the keeper and knocked out for a corner to keep it at 2-1. Went into half time at 2-1. I actually missed the start of the second half because I got distracted by a pint and Chris talking. Basically, I'm going to blame him since he's not here to defend himself. But when I went back out, unbeknown to me, it was actually 3-1. Thankfully, Kelty Hearts were quick to put the highlights up, so I was able to catch them before we've recorded this pod on Sunday afternoon. But it was Linton who had a long cross into the box, and he was able to meet the head of Nathan Austin, who did a really good job in making the decision to head the ball down to Hubby as opposed to going for goal, and Hubby was able to slot it in for close range to make it 3-1. Shortly after that, it was Nathan Austin who was pulled down about 10 yards outside the box, and if you haven't already checked out the highlights, I certainly think this is a game to go and check out. It was Linton who converted a really good free kick, went well over the wall and into the right hand corner of the net to make it 4-1. Beef had the next chance of the game. They were, or the next big chance shall we say, they were awarded a free kick just outside the box, but the resulting free kick went straight into the wall. A bit of sloppy defending after that by Beef allowed Nathan Austin to turn on the ball and get past two Beef defenders a bit too easily, and he was able to slot it past the keeper to make it 5-1. Kelty's sixth goal came from another set piece, so 3 of their 6 goals so far came from set pieces. Ross Much making a quick turn into the centre of the park was taken down, and the resulting free kick, it was taken really quickly, and it was Riley who thundered a shot from about 25 yards out. To put it into perspective, Mark McCabe, who does the highlights for Kelty, didn't actually catch the goal. He caught the shot but not the goal, because it was just a really quick free kick, really quick shot, and that made it 6-1. And then the final goal, it was a fantastic bit of play, just team play from Kelty, and it was Gary Chen still playing on the right that put Richie through, and a bit of the old guard coming together. Richie with a neat wee crossover to Kelty's all-time top goal scorer, Cargie, who headed it into the back of the net to make it 7-1, and that's how the game finished. Do you know what? Kelty were a very, very strong side on the day, but you could see the Beath team, they're a talented team. They weren't the 7-1 result, it was respective of how good Kelty were, but it wasn't really respective of how Beath played, because they played a very good game. If you go back and you look at the highlights, they had their chances, but Ben McKenzie made some really good saves, and at the back there wasn't a whole lot that they lost 7 goals, so it's hard to totally defend it, but they had some good play at the back, and it could have easily been more than 7. And there was a few set pieces in there that Kelty were able to convert, which can make a huge difference in the game. So no, it was a really good game to be at, and I think it's put Kelty in a really good position heading into week 1.
other than the fact that this is not going to help Gary Chen if he's playing right back with Alan Hutton comparisons, just kind of quick question. See, obviously the scoreline's eye-opening thing, and you've explained it through that didn't necessarily fully kind of explain the whole story of the game. Do you think that this squad that Kelty have got are basically kind of ready to go and they're going to dish out these kind of results in the league?
I think that's exactly what I was saying at the beginning there. I was a bit concerned watching the first few pre-season games where they did have a couple of games where they put out very strong sides, but they need to be able to score goals. That's what wins games. It doesn't matter how good you play on the pitch. You need to be able to put goals into the back of the net and not concede goals. And Kelty did just that, and they didn't have Easton. He wasn't playing throughout the whole game, so they had a bit of strength there. Ross Much didn't come on until late on in the second half, and I've already said how highly I rate him. Even Ross Jardine came on as well, and he played a blinder towards the end of the game. Didn't make any mistakes. He was strong. One small criticism I did notice was the keeper Ben McKenzie. He needs to be louder, and I think if he's not, that could hinder them a little bit, because you want your keeper to be vocal, and he was a bit too quiet. You've got Murray there that's always going to be the voice at the back, but you want to be able to hear your keeper. But overall, I think Kelty showed what they can do. It's one game where everything clicked. They now need to show that they can do this on a week-to-week basis. I think just because they won 7-1, or if you look in contrast, just because BSC and Dunbar finished 0-0, I don't think it's going to be necessarily reflective of how easy or difficult the season's going to be.
Gotcha. Nevertheless, though, you can't help but be impressed by the fact that, let's be honest, Beath are no mugs. Beath are a very, very decent West Super League team in the juniors. So that 7-1 result is just a proper eye-opener. I think, not just myself, but I think pretty much every team in the league will have taken note of that as kind of the final build-up result to the campaign getting started.
It was a bit of a statement from Kelty by all means, and yeah, Beef are by no means they're not a poor team. No,
absolutely not. Right, I should also say, regardless of any tweets that a certain absent podcaster might have put out there, just as a slight wind-up. Right, so we promised you last week that we would run through the new managers in the league as well, and kind of talk about essentially our predictions about how they'll do. So we'll do that just now before we get into the previews for the first week of the season. And I think we'll start off, we touched on Berwick earlier on, and obviously how they need to kind of get going quickly, get the monkey off the back. Berwick are at home to Bonnyrigg Rose in the first week of the season, both of which have got new managers in place, or managers that are new to the league. So in Berwick's case, it's Ian Little who's taken over this summer. Robbie Horn for Bonnyrigg Rose has never actually been in a Lowlands League management role. He has managed above and below, but not in this league itself. So if we start off with Robbie, ironically enough, Robbie actually was at Berwick, if you remember, going back a wee bit, and it didn't quite work for him. But then once he left, things went properly downhill from there. He'd done a cracking job with Bonnyrigg Rose before, and he's gone back and brought the good times back again. It was him that was in charge when they got their brilliant cup run and ended up playing at Tynecastle against Hibs as well. He knows that squad implicitly, and he knows exactly what they want to achieve and the way they want to play football. Personally, I think that he is all set up for success in this league with Bonnyrigg, and I would be very surprised if Rose don't finish top half this season, despite the fact that there's a fair amount of investment going on in clubs that you'd expect to be right up there challenging. How about yourself, Shaun?
No, I think I definitely agree. He obviously had a bit of experience managing Vale Leithen years ago as well, back 2010, 2011. So he's got a bit of experience with some of the teams. It'll be a very different team now, no doubt. But he's got a fair bit of experience, both playing and managing, and he's got probably one of the most important things. He's got, the trust of his players, and it's some momentum coming from what they did last season. I think he's primed to have a really good year, despite how competitive the Lowland League is going to be.
Definitely. So I think we're both in agreement on that one. We'll also get Chris's thoughts next weekend and force him to make a prediction, I think. But after that, let's go to Gretna. You get Chris Comfrey, latterly of East Kilbride, taking over in his first managerial gig down at the border side. How do you see that playing out?
I think it's definitely a tough gig, and especially for somebody who is just he hasn't got managerial experience, and he's taken that step straight up into the main man essentially. He's making that step up. I think he's definitely got a tough gig ahead of himself. Gretna are a team that, they've got the ability to go out, and they did some impressive things last season. You see if he can build on that this season, and I suppose share with the players a bit of his own personal experience as a very good player with tons and tons of experience. If he can share that with some of his guys and get the right sort of atmosphere in the dressing room, get them playing the right way, I think he could have a successful season, but I don't think it's going to be as easy as it will be for Robbie Horn at Bonnyrigg. I think it's going to be challenging, and it always will with any of these Borders teams.
Yeah, I agree with you there. And obviously the fact that Gretna tend to kind of have quite a bit of squad upheaval every year as well. This year's been no different. There's been essentially a brand new squad brought in with a few boys hanging around, so it'll be interesting to see how they gel together, and the new faces, including O'Day and Damar, how they adjust to the league itself as well, not just the gaffer. But right, we will need to go through Ian Little and Berwick, I think, and this is quite a tough one, because for the improvement he brought to Whitehill Welfare last year, they were still a shadow of the side it had been in previous seasons. And like we said that they basically went from losing games 4 and 5-0 to losing 1 or 2-0 under Ian's tutelage, but they still weren't picking up wins. They had the occasional draw here and there, but ultimately they were still a losing side, despite his best efforts. And I know Ian's had success with Berwick in the past, so going back there, he knows the club, he knows how it runs, he knows the surroundings. He's had to cobble together a squad at last minute, and that's where this trialist rule's been a bit of a hindrance to them in the Betfred Cup. And the results are looking a wee bit scary at this point, I'd say, if you're a fan of the wee Rangers. I'm quite pessimistic on Berwick's chances this season now. I'm still reserving judgment fully, but the more time goes on, the more I think they'll be bottom half of this league. And it'll be very much a year of getting set in a new reality, a new league, where you don't expect them to be able to bounce back up. I wouldn't say. They'll need to basically go through what Shire have gone through the last couple of years, in my opinion. The more time goes on, that they'll get a wee bit of a fright, they'll get a couple of good wins, they'll get a bit of good feeling back for that, for the fans that were used to losing every game last year. But I don't think they're going to be pushing for anything higher than mid-table. What do you reckon?
No, I'd agree with pretty much everything you've said there. I think Ian is probably out of the 5 managers we're going to go over. I think he's possibly got the toughest gig of anybody, because the expectation on this club as being the club that's just gone down, I think, is potentially going to be too high, because there is that expectation that if a team gets relegated, not necessarily that they bounce back, but that if they're dropping down a league, you expect them to be competitive. And how hard a time that Berwick have had, I think that might be quite tricky to do in a very, very in a really good league. He's also got the fact that he has got experience with Berwick. He knows the club and he knows the way they work. He's got experience in the Lowland League, albeit not the most successful, but he has got experience. So when you look at the likes, say, Chris Humphrey, and you can say, new to the league, new to being a manager, that's going to be taken into consideration for Ian. he's got a lot of experience, and they're gonna they've not put him in that position to, I don't believe anyway, to rebuild the squad over the next 5 years like Shire have, and I suppose we'll just need to wait and see. I think he's been put in there because he's got that experience, and I don't really get the feeling they want to hang around the Lowland League for too long. But it's a very tough gig. It's a very tough gig to get out of this league, and he's a man that's going to be expected to do something really special, I think, with Berwick.
Yeah, it's certainly going to be an interesting one to see how the season shapes up for them. We'll get an idea early on of where they're going to be, I think. Maybe after 10 games we'll revisit it and kind of see how they've adjusted. But yeah, I certainly am on the pessimistic side of it, and it'll be interesting to see if that is the case, whether Ian is given more time in charge to kind of right the ship and start building again. But next one up's pressure for a different reason, I think. So we're going to Gala Ferrydean Rovers. Neil Hastings is stepping into a position where the previous incumbent in that role did, I think, all things considered, a very, very good job. So what do you reckon on Neil's prospect?
I think perhaps he's got one of the, if it was awards kicking about, it's definitely the most unfair, because he has taken over from somebody who was doing a really good job, and he's taken over where they're going through a bit of a crisis, and I don't think anybody could deny that. Just the amount of change that they've seen, they've had players that have left, and it's not looked like it's been the most mutually separations between sometimes people on the board, sometimes the players, and definitely when Dean Shanks went, it didn't look like it was the most amicable of breakups. And he's gone in there, he's got some experience, but this is a side that's got better every season, and the fans aren't going to be happy about them moving backwards. So he's got a big job for the year ahead. But this is still Gala, and Gala are still a team that we're just used to them surprising us and doing better than we expect them to do. So I don't think Neil's the wrong person for the job by any means. I think he'll do a really good job, but he's got some big shoes to fill.
Definitely. And it's interesting to see Dean's now joined East Kilbride's coaching staff as well, hasn't he? So we'll see how that impacts Kilby, because he is known and he's got a reputation as being a cracking coach in the training field as well. But right, last one up, and it's Dalbeattie Star. To round things off, Richie Maxwell stepping in where Dan Kerr has left the building. And it was an interesting season for Star last year. They had a bit of a rocky road, and then just as things were coming to a conclusion, they somehow out of nowhere found a great run of form against, let's be honest, some of the big hitters in the league. And they were picking up wins left, right and centre and doing some really, really impressive things as the campaign came to a close. So in terms of Richie, what would be seen as success for Dalbeattie this year, do you think?
I think it's improvement, isn't it? And I don't know a great deal. Richie Maxwell's one of the guys that I'm really looking forward to seeing how it unfolds this season, because I don't know a great deal about him. However, Dalbeattie, there's no getting away from the fact that they were right at the foot of the table, and if it wasn't for the way that Whitehill performed, they could have very well been playing in that very tough East of Scotland Premier Division this season. So, do you know what? I think he's got an okay job. Dalbeattie are a decent side that finished strong at the end of last season, and I think they look like they're going to move forward. There's no doubt that he's going to have played a significant part building the squad over the pre-season, and they've done a fantastic job with that. I think we always want to be cautious when we're saying about teams that are going to drop down and teams that are going to get better. As far as voicing our opinions on this podcast, we like to be fair across the board, but I think one thing and you know what, we always have contradicting opinions as well. Some of these other teams and managers that we've already discussed, we've had a wee bit of contradiction on, but I think one thing we've all been united with is the fact that Dalbeattie have had a brilliant pre-season, and they've got so much stronger than last season and the fact that they finished so strong. I think he's set himself up. It's on him now, him and his players, but he's set himself up to certainly have a good first full season as manager of Dalbeattie. They look like they're going to be an improved side for this season.
Yeah, I think I'm with you on this one. That squad certainly looks like the best squad I've seen Dalbeattie have at the start of our Lowland League season. And I don't actually kind of know much about Richie himself. We'll no doubt learn more as the weeks go by, but purely based on the squad that he's been able to build up, you've got to be impressed with the early work, I think. The proof will be in the pudding when it comes to league results, right enough. But yeah, so that kind of rounds off the 5 new gaffers in the league.
Who do you think is going to see the most success though? Out of those 5, we've sort of discussed how we think each of them are going to fare on an individual basis, and it's maybe a bit unfair of me to pit them all against each other, but who do you think is going to, really shine this season? Or shine the most? All 5 might shine.
If you're asking me which of those clubs is going to finish highest in the league, I'll say Bonnyrigg Rose and Robbie Horn. Whether it's seen as success or not is a different matter, I think, because Rose probably expect to be top half of this table, if not higher.
So if Bonnyrigg were, say, to finish 5th and Dalbeattie were to finish 6th, do you think it'd be more success for Robbie Horn or Richie Maxwell?
Oh, Richie Maxwell, absolutely. If Dalbeattie get a mid-table to top half finish, that'll just be an unbelievable job he's done. If you're talking relative terms, I think the big X factor is Chris Humphrey at Gretna, because he could realistically be anywhere between bottom of the league and top half, because there's been so much changing upheaval there, and he's got, I know it's his first managerial gig, but he's got all sorts of experience in there. He's got contacts in Motherwell and so on, and throughout the world of football that will no doubt give him a hand and giving him advice. I think if you're looking for an X factor or somebody that could, under the radar, go and do brilliant things, Chris Humphrey would be the one. But yeah, overall, I'm going to stick with Robbie Horn and say he's the most likely to achieve success this year, I think. What about you? You're not getting out of this.
I think I kind of touched on it there. I think Richie Maxwell's the one that's most primed. I know Bonnyrigg are the new boys to the league, but I think the expectation's really high. I don't think the expectation is there as much with Dalbeattie. I think they're still a team that the goal is to remain in the league, but I think they're actually it's a tough place to go, Dalbeattie, and I think people often underestimate how tough a place Islecroft is to go, and they're a team that showed that they can travel well, and like I say, they've got stronger. It will all come down, I think, to how Richie Maxwell can get those guys gelling and picking up 3 points as opposed to, they had a lot of draws last season in games that they probably should have won. If they can win those games and pull off a few upsets like they did last season, I think he'll be a key component in making that happen. Seems daft to say because he's the manager, but I think he's primed to really be the one that I suppose shines this season. But I totally agree with what you're saying about all the other guys.
Yeah, I think you made a fair point there, to be honest. So, well, let's get into week 1, shall we? Do the build-up. Now, just before we get to the weekend fixtures, bear in mind, as this is released on Tuesday night, there are a couple more Betfred Cup games. Edinburgh City are playing host to East Kilbride in a rematch of the game just a few weeks ago, the City Cup final that was delayed from the previous year that Edinburgh City ultimately won. This time it's Betfred Cup duty, and it'll be interesting to see how that one goes at Ainsley Park. How do you see that one fading out?
That's one I'm really looking forward to. Edinburgh City got a lot stronger last season, did really well in League 2, but they're two sides with a little bit of history, which a lot of the Lowland League sides, when they go into these competitions, there isn't much history because there is that cut-off between the SPFL and the Scottish Lowland League. But these teams have a wee bit of history, and I think it's going to be really interesting. And it's only going to be 3 days removed from, the 0-0 and then win on penalties against St Mirren. I think East Kilbride they'll be really going for this one. Absolutely. In Edinburgh City, they did similar against St Mirren. I think it was a penalty that St Mirren got towards the end of the game that secured the win for St Mirren in that game. So, they've both got something to play for in the Betfred, and yeah, I don't think East Kilbride are going to go in there with any less sort of gusto than they did against St Mirren, because there's a wee bit of history there.
Yeah, both teams coming off a really good results at the weekend in the Cup against higher league opposition, so it'll be one that I'll be keeping my eye on, certainly. And the other side of the coin, Berwick Rangers coming off of 2 really tough results. It doesn't get any easier. They're home at Falkirk on Tuesday night, and I suspect Ian will just be wanting to keep the score down in that one.
Yeah, I think I probably agree with you. I think Falkirk are a bit similar to St Mirren, to where they are as a club. St Mirren did manage to stay in the Premier League, whereas Falkirk got relegated at the end of last season. But yeah, Falkirk were a team that really struggled, and do you know what? It's hard to say, because right now it's hard to see Berwick pulling anything off, but they're going against that. They're going through a bit of turmoil themselves, but so are Falkirk. So yeah, I'd agree though. I think if they can go into that game and it doesn't end up being more than 2 or 3-0, and if they can maybe like you say, get that monkey off the back, score a goal, I think that'll be a win for them and a step in the right direction. So a very tough game though for a team that's really, you didn't want to see them getting kicked while they're already down. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, absolutely. And then we can fast forward to Saturday the 27th, coming weekend, where we have the first proper Lowland League fixtures in the campaign. Bear in mind, not every single side's playing though, because of the Betfred Cup. In the Betfred at the weekend, you've got East Kilbride travelling to face Dunfermline in what looks like a pretty tough game for them. But who knows? And Livingston playing host to Berwick in the flip side game. So any quick thoughts on those two games?
I think it's going to be, for East Kilbride, it's going to be a game that they're probably relishing, especially if they can do something against Edinburgh City. Dunfermline, that was a really a big upset for them to lose to Edinburgh City. So they're going to be looking to bounce back, and they've been really good towards the end of last season and in pre-season, minus that Edinburgh City game. So I think that could actually be a really good game. And then I suppose it's exactly the same as the Falkirk one for Berwick Rangers. They're going up against a very good Livingston side, and do you know what? Again, if they can knock in a goal or two again and not concede too many, it'll be a win for them. And I think that's what they've got to look to do.
Absolutely. But while those two are flying the flag in the League Cup, we get down to business, and we'll start off with the official catch-up game of the week. I think BSC Glasgow hosting East Stirlingshire. Right off the bat, a massive game. And obviously I've slightly got divided loyalties here, so I'll allow you to get us started here, Shaun.
We chose this as the game of the week because I think there's so many stories. BSC had one of their strongest ever seasons again last year. They're a team that always surprise, but they're going into, what they seem to do every season. They're going into another year where the league looks stronger than the year before. And BSC they're not the same big spenders that you see across the rest of the league. They're a very innovative sort of team. They try to do things a bit differently. We've seen that with their season tickets, we've seen it with their player sponsorship, and we've just seen it with the way that they manage the team, with the way that they can bring players in. They handle their affairs a little bit differently, and they're a team that you just can't write off for next season. And they're playing at home, and they're going against a Shire team that have got a lot of ambition for next season, but Shire are travelling, so there's that edge to the game that, do you know what, this could go either way, and I wouldn't expect it to be another 0-0 for BSC. I think there's going to be goals in this one.
Yeah, I'd be very surprised if they went goals. As most of you listening will know, I am a BSC fan, so I'm not going to make any rash predictions on it. I do think it's going to be one of the toughest opening games that anyone could have seen for both sides, because the work Shire have done in the close season has been fantastic in terms of squad building. I've seen both sides in pre-season, both were impressive in different ways. I'm going to sit on the fence and say a draw, I think. So, moving on from there, we'll go to... Let's go to Bonnyrigg. Bonnyrigg Rose playing host to Vale of Leithen. And earlier on we said Berwick's first game will be against Rose, but Rose actually get their campaign started at home against Vale. And that's shaping up to be quite an interesting one with... obviously, kind of Rose have been just latterly adding to the squad. Vale have built arguably their strongest squad in a few years under Chris Anderson as well. So what do you think about that one?
I think it's. Do you know what? It's going to be the same as every game. It's going to be an interesting one to see what these two can produce. However, I'm pretty confident in saying I think Bonnyrigg will edge this one. The fact that they're playing at New Dundas Park is going to, they're going to have a huge support for this game, and that 12th man is massive for any team. And I just think Vale leaving, although they're a team I expect to move forward, I just don't think they're going to quite be able to compete with Bonnyrigg. And this is a Bonnyrigg team that I saw a couple of times last season, and I saw them against the likes, say, East Allenshire, and they're a very good team, and they've only gone and got stronger. So I see Bonnyrigg getting the campaign started off the right way and picking up all 3 points here.
Yeah, I think I'd agree with that. I see Rose is more likely to pick the win up, but hey, we'll see how it goes. We'll maybe take back the old Chris Anderson being a bit of a backup keeper chat now as well, given that they've signed a second goalie in the time since. But right, from there, let's go to East Peffermill, where Edinburgh University are hosting the now newly christened Caledonian Braves. And if there's ever a time to play Edinburgh, it's straight away before the new campaign kind of really got started for them. It's really September time that they get their new squad built up. So is it a good time to face them if you're Caledonian?
I think it is, yeah. However, if you look back to some of the results that Edinburgh Uni picked up at the beginning of last season, they were able to pick up some really good results, including I think a 1-1 draw against Kelty, and that was before the uni classes all started up again. I think this EduSport team, though, they're a team that are really going to be gunning for it this season. And although they're playing away from home, I think they'll edge the win. I think they're just as strong as the two sides. And although Edinburgh Uni have shown what they can do when their team's not at full strength, I still think it's going to be too tough a challenge for them, especially in that opening game. The fact that it's at East Peffermill will play some advantage, because I think when the Braves play their first home game, I think that's going to be massive for them. I think it will give them a massive push, but I'd still give the edge to the Caledonian Braves.
Don't worry, you'll get used to saying it eventually, mate. I think I agree with you there. A lot of people are actually sleeping on the squad they've built up. I wouldn't be surprised to see them being a dark horse this year. Now that I've had some proper chance to get into the teams and the squads and have looked at it, and I would expect them to start off with a win there. If they've got any ambitions of doing anything this season, that's the kind of game they need to win, ultimately. But down to the borders after that, we will go to Gretna, 2008, hosting Civil Service Strollers, who I think were everyone's surprise package last year, and a really good news story in the league that kind of needed it after the way things started off. So what do you reckon there? Chris Humphrey's first proper game in charge, Gary Jordan, one of the most experienced campaigners we've got at this level. How's that going to play out?
I think that's a big story there. It's going to be Chris Humphrey's first game in charge. It's going to give all the guys a boost there. Civil Service Strollers, though, they're a very good side, and they've managed to re-sign a lot of their guys that helped them be successful last year. I think I'll peg this one down as a draw myself. For the season, I think Strollers are going to be the stronger side, and I think it'd be tough to argue against that. But I think there's going to be a bit of momentum going into this, and the fact that they're travelling down from Edinburgh all the way down to Gretna is going to play a part in this, and the fact that, like you say, Chris is going to go out there. I think he's going to do a really good job of motivating his guys. They've had a really good pre-season. That big game against Motherwell that they had, I think, is going to have helped them a lot. I've not heard as much for Strollers. I know they've played a few games, but I think I'd yeah, I think a draw would be a fair result for both squads in the opening weekend.
And I'm quite happy to sit with you on that fence as well, I think, to be honest, until we get a better idea of exactly who these teams are going to be this year. Yeah, I can't really call that one either way. If there was a slight preference, I'd maybe edge towards the Strollers, but we'll see. And not far away, Netherdale, Gallifreydine Rovers, another new gaffer, and Neil Hastings' first match, and they're facing off against Cumbernauld Colts, who have been pretty quiet over the summer. They've done things just their own way, kind of under the radar. They've kept a lot of their squad together. They've lost, obviously, Sean Brown being the big one. But yeah, it'll be interesting to see how that one goes as well.
No, absolutely. I think these are two teams that I'm a bit worried for them in terms of, I think they could digress a little bit this season. The league got stronger. Everything that's happened at Gala, I think, is going to cause them. They finished higher than I think they expected last season, and I think the moving backwards might have happened naturally. But with everything that's happened, I can see that happening this season. And then Cumbernauld Colts were sort of sitting in that second tier of teams last season, but I think that even tier 1, tier 2 has got so much busier over the pre-season that they're possibly going to have to take a step back because the league's got so much stronger. However, in this game, I think I'd give Colts the edge because I still think they're going to be the stronger of the two sides as the season goes on. But I wouldn't be surprised if either Gala were to go out and win it, or if Gala were to go out there and win it comfortably with banging in a few goals. I think I wouldn't be shocked, but I would pick Colts for this one, I think.
Yeah, it's always a tough place to go, right enough, Netherdale, but ultimately I think Colts have had a pretty kind of comfortable, pretty quiet pre-season. Gala's had anything but. So purely based on that, you'd maybe give the edge to Colts. It's always preferable to have a less eventful summertime, I think, especially when there's been a change of manager and a kind of total change of squad and so on as well. But there's only a couple of games other than that. We have University of Stirling hosting the Spartans, who again are a team that some people are beginning to earmark as in danger of dropping down the table as a result of what teams around them have been doing. University of Stirling, Chris Geddes, they are where they are, same as every year. They've had to replace a couple of boys that have left, but they're used to doing that. How do you think that one's going to play out?
I think Spartans should be the stronger side still. They've definitely been a bit quieter, but I think what Dougie does there, he does every year, and he manages to just, technically speaking, the way that the players play at Ainsley Park is second to none. They're very structured and disciplined in what they do, and I think it allows them to not have to make the big signings. If they could make those big signings that some other guys have made, they perhaps would be viewed as favourites. But they're definitely a quieter side, and they've lost Dish to Shire. I still think they're going to do well this season. It's hard to write them off because they're not one person. They're a team that don't rely on one or two players, and they seem to do that every year. University Stirling, I think, Chris he's a brilliant manager, and he did a fantastic job last year, but they've lost some of their big names this year. And until I can see them churn out a few things, which might not happen until the uni season starts, I'm going to have to edge, not even edge. I think Spartans should be able to, even though they're going to Stirling, I think they should be able to do something comfortably there, because they're just the stronger side, I feel. Yeah,
I think Spartans you've got to give the preference to, just purely on the basis that, as you say, they've got a stronger squad on paper. They've also got a fantastic manager in Dougie, and unlike last season where Dougie wasn't around and obviously had his kind of a health scare and so on, he's had a full pre-season with these guys to get them ready and the way he wants them to play, which I think will very much go in their favour. So I'd be very surprised if they didn't win that game, to be honest. But we're going to round it off with a game that raised eyebrows last year. Kelty Hearts, New Central Park, hosting Dalbeattie Star. And famously last time round, Dalbeattie managed to get a point, and then were quite vocal about how they'd been underestimated and There's a few things said about money and so on, so repeat performance?
I think it's a bit of a disadvantage for Dalbeattie because I think it's still going to be fresh in the mind of Kelty what happened last season and that they didn't make the start that they perhaps wanted to make. And Dalbeattie had a tough gig when they came up here for the opener last season, and I believe they were able to surprise Kelty. I don't think they're going to have that this season. So I feel a bit bad for Dalbeattie, and their first game is going to be at New Central Park. And maybe I'm writing them off too early and I'll need to eat my hat next week. But I think Kelty are going to win it comfortably because, they said it last season where, Kelty said that they were out to finish sort of top four. This season they've said that they're out to win it, and they've set themselves up to do that. And teams like Dalbeattie, those games they need to win. That's what your East Kilbrides and BSCs did last year that Kelty perhaps didn't. They had draws against Dalbeattie and Edinburgh University, and they can't afford to do that this season. And this will be a big statement. I think it would be a big kick in the teeth for Kelty if they were to lose this game. And that's not taking anything away from Dalbeattie, because I've already said I think they're going to have a really good season. But it's a bit unfair because it's going to be fresh in the mind of Kelty that they can't take Dalbeattie for granted, and I think that'll play out.
The easiest way I can sum this up is if Kelty have got any designs with the investment they've made on winning this league and getting promoted, this is the kind of game that they cannot afford to not get 3 points from. We've seen how relentless Kilby are, and they've, if anything, improved over the summer. Shire, with the investment they've made, BSC, runners-up last season, have kept the same squad together and added some interesting faces. If Kelty can't win that as an opening day fixture coming off such an impressive performance at the weekend against Beath there, big questions will start to get asked already, I think. So I would take Kelty to win that one, and reasonably handily, I think, as well. But so that takes us through all the games in week one. Bear in mind, anyone listening, you've still got time to enter our competition to win tickets for BSC versus East Stirlingshire, our game of the week. What you need to do to win those is go to either our Twitter account, where you'll find the details in terms of likes and retweets and how to get involved. On Facebook, how do you do it, Shaun?
On Facebook, it's simple. We're looking for you to share the post to get it out there so other people have an opportunity to win. To make sure you do like the page and just give us a wee comment. Let us know what you think the score's going to be. At the moment, it's quite heavily big Shire wins. A lot of Shire fans on Facebook. We
like to be underdogs. But I will do the draw Thursday night. Some of you know that I do live streams on Twitch, generally for kind of the Football Manager PC game, but I'll do the draw live as well, and we will announce it on Twitter either Thursday night or Friday morning. Get in touch and get you a hold of your free entry tickets, basically. So we'll go from there. And without further ado, I think that's us rounded off everything.
Today we had a chat about the new managers and how we thought they would fare. That was actually sort of a question that came into us from one of the listeners, and it's something we're going to look to do a bit more this season. If it's something you think you'd like to hear us discuss on the podcast, we're looking for you just to drop us a tweet or a message on Facebook, or even if you catch us at one of the games, just to mention it. And we're going to try and cover off one or two topics every week. We'll still do our reviews of all the games and preview the upcoming games, but we're looking to add a little bit something else in there, and we'll be getting back to interviews with the players and managers as well as the season progresses. But something a wee bit extra, that was one that came in from a listener, and it's something we'd like to carry on. So if you do have any ideas about topics you'd like to hear us discuss, just drop any of us a note.
Definitely. And on Twitter it's @official Catchup, just so you've got that. And Facebook you'll find us the same way, official Catchup. Just get in touch anytime you like. We tend to record on a Sunday, so as long as you're in touch by then, we'll get it mentioned. Anything else you want to bring up just before we finish off?
No, I think that's everything for me. Just roll on Saturday, and good luck to everybody that's playing and watching the Lowland League for the upcoming season.
Yeah, best of luck to everyone. Be a fan, a player, a manager, involved with a club, whoever you are. Let's have another brilliant season. The league continues to make steps forward every year, and I've no doubt the same thing's going to happen this time round. Right, so in terms of plugs and so on, where can people find you on various social media, Sean?
On Twitter, I'm a bit quieter, I think, than yourself and Chris, but you can still find me on there. It says @Betfred and Shaun, and I'll continue to take care of the official Catchup on Facebook, so if you have a look for us on there, I'll be trying to post things throughout the week.
Perfect. And as usual, just @Mozza Plays on Twitter for myself. You'll find pretty much everything through that. And that brings us to the end of the Week 1 preview edition of the official Catch-Up. We have survived a summer, thankfully. We're nearly there. And personally, I'm sure Sean will agree, we just can't wait for it to get going now. So thank you very much for listening in over the summertime if you have done. If you're new to it, especially from be it Bonnie Rig or Berwick, welcome in. We will be going weekly from now on, rounding up all the games every week. Kind of thoughts on the stories around the league as they go. Anything else that comes up, including all the cup competitions as well, as and when our sides enter the big Scottish Cup, all that kind of thing. But until next week, enjoy yourselves and good luck in the season to come. Catch you later on.
Have a good week.